All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully a few more will join us as we go. But I'm Natalie Payne. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the Calliope Collective. And you may not be as familiar with Calliope. Last year, we started in January as P2G Consulting. We are a division of preferred hotels, but not all of our hotels are preferred. So just think of us as any other, wonderful sales representation company. But what we're going to be known for, especially, is independently owned hotels, high 4, 5 star properties, and just unique to their area. They may not be the Taj Mahal hotel of the area, but it's going to be really unique, great location, great experiences, kind of these hidden gems. So I've had the list up here for a while for you guys to look at. We are going to focus on Ireland today. But if you have any interest or needs for any of the other properties, please let me know. I wanted to just tell you, Calliope, we kind of rolled out this new branding a couple of months ago, and this is kind of how it came about. Because we do want to be able to attract non-preferred hotels as well, and PTG was kind of, still tied to that. So like Camerol, for example, is a leading hotel. The Estate Yountville doesn't have an affiliation, just fantastic hotels. Calliope literally means beautiful voice, and she was one of the 9 muses in Greek mythology over poetry and music and kind of the finer things in life, which is what we all sell in the luxury leisure market. And then I love that there's a Calliope hummingbird that's one of the smallest birds in the world that flies over 5,000 miles to migrate. So, a lot of times independently owned hotels just don't have the recognition that brands have, and we have to work harder and fly harder. So we say fly further with us. That's kind of our tagline at Calliope. So we're just really excited to partner with you. In Ireland, and if you have questions, please put them in the chat and then we'll cover those at the end. But in Ireland, what we have is, I think, the perfect itinerary, especially if you have someone going to Ireland for the first time. We kind of hit everything that you want to see in Ireland. We have the Dillon Hotel in downtown Dublin, the K Club, which is about 30 minutes outside of Dublin. So, if people are flying in and out of Dublin, then maybe you do one on the front end and one on the back end. And then down to the southwest, we have the Europe Hotel in Killarney, which you're going to love. Not many North American advisors especially know about this property, and it's gorgeous. And then we have Dromoland Castle, which is just 10 minutes from Shannon Airport. So if your clients can fly into Dublin and out of Shannon, that's the ideal. And remember, you do clear US customs when you leave Ireland. So it's really, really nice. We're seeing a lot of people even stop through Ireland on the way home. Tourism Ireland has been fantastic to work with. They're one of the most supportive tourism boards, and they've really worked hard to get a lot of the direct flights back, especially to Dublin. So lucky that we have a lot of direct flights over from major gateways. And we'll start with the Dillon. So not sure if any of you have stayed there or seen it, but this property, it almost feels like the Greenwich in New York to me. It feels like you're in Tribeca or Soho. It's in the Georgian neighborhood, so it's a lot more residential than being kind of right in the center of town. It originally was built as a home for nurses. It was commissioned by Queen Victoria, and you can see that it really hasn't changed a whole lot over the years on the outside. However, the inside has now been completely redone. We've just finished our room refurbishment, and all the public spaces have been redone within the last 2 years. Just to show you our location, we are about a 10-minute walk from St. Stephen's Green. Again, we're in Georgian Dublin, kind of the embassy neighborhood. It's the leafy streets of Dublin. We're less than a 10-minute walk from the RDS, where they have big concerts. I just had a big family that went to Bruce Springsteen there. And this is kind of your neighborhood. So it's a much more local neighborhoody vibe than if you're down right in the middle, Times Square, I would call it. Remember that you get your tax back in Dublin as well, or in Ireland. So we're seeing many people come over for those big jewelry or purse purchases. And the tax back system is really easy to use now with a card in Ireland as well. But, Trinity College, the Book of Kells, we sit almost right on the canal. So these are just some activities that you think of for Dublin, but maybe that you also don't think of. A lot of people forget that we're 10 minutes from the coast. So this is called the 40-foot. If you've watched the show Bad Sisters, I think they do their Irish sea swimming here. I haven't watched it, but everybody says that. We have a whole water park over near kind of the Amazon industrial area. So that's really fun if you have teenagers coming. And we invite you to get out and experience it as the locals would. You know, there's hiking close by if you're just basing yourself in Dublin for a few days. Their food and beverage concept is you can have whatever you want, wherever you want. So they have all these beautiful little spaces that are really comfortable to have your tipsy tea or your caviar or your lobster roll, but just beautiful dining spaces, breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. They have a great outdoor little area. Hi to the folks coming on. Welcome. We're talking about the Dillon in Dublin. And then this is the Ruby Bar, which is really fun. They have live music, a lot of nights here, and great cocktails. And it's just the perfect place to end your day when you're staying. This is a sneak peek of the new room concept. It's obviously a rendering, but there's some really elegant, gorgeous wallpaper mixed with kind of mid-century modern furniture. So that's the Dillon in Dublin. 30 minutes outside of Dublin, and also near 30 minutes from the airport. I'm so sorry. Sorry, my allergies have been terrible here. We have the K Club. So it's a wonderful location. If you've booked the K Club in the past, you know, a lot of people were just like, oh, it's golf, golf, golf. You know, my clients don't golf. It's so much more than golf. Think of us as the Glen Eagles of Ireland. There's so many family activities, so many just estate activities. Also, they have new ownership as of about 2 years ago. Michael Featherstone is his name, and they've been on this journey, and their hashtag now is time to play. And so it's, you know, they just want people to come here. They want it to feel relaxed. There's no jacket and ties anymore. And so it's just a really great atmosphere. Just to show you here where we are, just right outside. Of course, my dog is now going to bark too. Don't we love working from home? And then this is what's close by. So we're in major horse country. So I just had a group go to the National Stud and they did a private tour. And then there's Japanese gardens there. There's very upscale outlet shopping at Kildare Village. We have a private complimentary service for our guests where you get champagne. You have a personal shopper if you'd like that as well. So lots to do in the area. And again, just 30 minutes from Dublin if you wanted to base yourself here and go in for the day into the city. But this is the estate. This is the K Club, and we sit on about 500 acres. The River Liffey runs through the middle of the property, and this is the river that runs all the way to Dublin. And, you know, on the river, we do fly fishing, we do stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, lots of water activities. Here's the hotel. It sits on the river. And then the other two main areas that your clients would be are at the golf course clubhouses. So we have the Palmer here and South here, and they have more dining options as well. We have the Straffan Inn, which is the little village that we are within, and we own the only pub in town called the Straffan Inn. And then you have some different homes throughout the estates that we'll talk about. But this was the original home, dates back to the 1800s. It was the Barton family, who was a big wine producing family. It still exists in France. Our sommelier Lisa has been there for 20 years, and she goes back to France every year to work on our house wines. Very, very knowledgeable. But we do have the largest wine cellar in Ireland. So that's a definite experience, the wine tasting experience that I would do that you don't necessarily always think about for Ireland. This is the River Liffey. We are producing our own power starting this year. They're working on that to produce power and kind of the whole sustainability effort. And then just the classic areas of the hotel have been brightened up. Really cool artwork has been added. Just so you can see around. And here's that cool wine cellar. John's been there for 30 years trying to get the cocktails right. He's in our Blue Martini bar, but he's a wonderful character that is fun to visit every night after dinner. And then just to give you an idea of their 3 dining concepts. So we still have the Barton, which is a more formal, beautiful room, but again, no jacket and tie. This is where your breakfast would be. They have a beautiful buffet or dinner. We have the Palmer, which is more kind of steak and seafood at one of the clubhouses, really elegant, casual dining. And then we have South, which is something that you'd almost find where I live in Charleston, with barbecue and wings and great burgers and just a really fun casual atmosphere. We do have about, I think, 200 golf club members. And so this is where you'll get to interact with those members a good bit. And people say Irish people are friendly, but they're really nosy. And so by the end of it, they'll know about your whole trip and your whole life. But wonderful, wonderful people. The food and the people are what make Ireland for sure. This is Enda. He's down at the Straffan Inn at the pub, and he'll get you behind the bar if you want and teach you how to pour a pint of Guinness. There's live music here very often. You might learn how to play the barone, which is one of the traditional Irish instruments. They have a gorgeous spa, indoor pool. They use some local products as well. Ground is actually made right there in Ireland. And then, as I mentioned before, we are way more than golf. It's such an amazing family resort. You have biking, fly fishing, everything that to do with the river. You have new Segway tours around the property, which are a lot of fun. Falconry for sure, horseback riding, clay shooting, archery, and a great kids club, which really comes alive around holidays, especially different holiday weekends. But kids club is offered year round. And then they are for sure known for their golf. They have two fantastic Arnold Palmer golf courses. They've hosted the Ryder Cup, and this year they'll be hosting the Irish Open. And for many years, actually, they've contracted it out. So the golf is really wonderful here. Indoor golf facilities as well. And then just to quickly give you an idea of the room products. So this room here has been recently renovated, and they're doing about 20 or 30 a year, but all the rooms just constantly rotate and stay fresh. They have a big selection of connecting rooms too, and we can guarantee that for you. And then they have two cottages that are at the gates of the property, 4-bedroom and 3-bedroom, and these have been renovated recently too. So keep those in mind for families as well. But again, all about the people, all about this journey of just more playful, more fun, not as stuffy. That's not what people are looking for anymore. And they're doing a phenomenal job. And it all, stems from the top. Paul Heary, their general manager, you might see him riding around on his scooter in his suit around the property. And he's just a really warm and welcoming guy and happy to greet your guests too. So all of my people have been very happy there. Now we're, as I said, coming about 3 hours southwest to the Europe. So if you're doing this itinerary, if people are driving, they could stop in Adair Village maybe for lunch. There's a couple different ways you can go. There is a train as well from Dublin to Killarney, or you could fly. I've done Ryanair. It's an hour flight. So it just depends, what people want to do. The Europe Hotel and Resort, they really had only focused on the Irish kind of local market and kind of meeting and incentives. So they've really come out and pushed hard in the last year to focus on the luxury travel advisor. We are in Virtuoso, we are in Select, and a couple of other programs that we're working on. Keep in mind, all of these are part of Preferred Hotels, so you do have access to the Preferred Platinum program as well if we aren't in your particular consortia program. So what I love about this hotel, it is in Killarney. It's 5 minutes outside of Killarney town on the lake. So, go into town at night, go to the pubs, Reedy's Bar, the Grand, have fun. But in the morning, wake up to this with your coffee, on the balcony. It's just gorgeous. So these are the lakes of Killarney. There's 3 lakes. It's built on an UNESCO World Heritage Site, so really thoughtfully developed and built in the 60s. It's been around, but you'll see it's certainly been renovated and refreshed. When you walk in, almost everywhere takes advantage of the view. So you have these gorgeous floor-to-ceiling windows. It's a real wow factor. It's one of those places that has spaces that you're like, oh, I wish my house felt like this. It's just really comfortable. Have a coffee, an Irish coffee, a glass of wine, and then the rooms. So really spacious rooms, such a good value. I meant to mention that for, really the Dillon, the K Club, and this property, you have starting rates sometimes of the year from €350, up to 600-700. So they're really, really good values. The Europe, people are staying 3, 4, 5 nights because there's so much to do in this area, which I'll show you. This is a newer kind of look room, so brightening it up a little bit. Our presidential is massive, big balcony. I've sold it recently for 1900, and it's really, really spacious. So again, a good value. Two beautiful bars. This is the Brasserie bar and then the Europe bar. A little more kind of masculine feeling, live music at night, really fun. And then they have three great restaurants. So the Panorama is where your breakfast is going to be, complimentary. The Brasserie, a little more French, and then they have a Mediterranean restaurant called Riva. The real gem of this property is the 50,000 square foot spa. It has consistently been ranked one of the top spas in Europe. And this level here is complimentary to all guests, whether you're having a treatment or not. So indoor, outdoor, little pool space, 16 treatment rooms, including a couples suite, and then private relaxation areas for men and women that have steam room, sauna, and also more water features there, hot tubs. Here's that indoor pool. So I think, this is great how we have it in our itinerary, because by this time in Ireland, you're going to need an afternoon of rest. It's like go, go, go. You're trying to see as many things as possible. So it's nice to have an afternoon, and you definitely need to book well in advance because it does book up for sure. So getting into a little bit of the activities in the area, we sit on the Ring of Kerry. So if you go out our front drive and make a left, you're on the Ring of Kerry. This is one of my favorite day trips here called the Gap of Dunloe. It's this beautiful glacier valley that dates back to the Ice Age. You can take a pony and trap, you can hike, you can take a horse, but you go up this 7 miles. I did a pony and trap, so it's a really authentic, they call it a jaunting cart. At the top, you have lunch, maybe at Lord Brandon's cottage or a cup of tea, and then you hop on a boat and you come back down through the three lakes of Killarney. So it's a perfect way to spend the day and to see the scenery. You can either end here at Ross Castle, or you could end at our own dock as well if you book a private boat tour. We do have great fishing here on the lake as well, but no real motorized boats. The little boats that come through the lake are allowed, but you're not going to see jet skis. You're not going to see really hardly any boating on this lake. So it's very peaceful. It's very relaxed. This is Muckrow's house. They have beautiful gardens. It's a historic home that you can visit. Tons of hiking in this area. They call Killarney the town in the park because it's surrounded by over 20,000 acres of national park that's protected. So it's just so green of what you would think of for Ireland. The property does have complimentary horseback riding and indoor tennis, so that's a great amenity. And then we're adjacent to the Killarney Golf and Fishing Club, which has also hosted the Irish Open, and our guests get a €50 rate. So it's a really nice way to kind of warm up if you are coming to golf. And this is the area that you want to be in if you're coming to Ireland to golf. It's those links courses, the Ballybunion, the Tralee, the Waterville, the Dukes, the courses that run along the ocean and separate the land from the sea. That's what makes it a links course. So that's the Europe. And then finally, I always like to end with Dromoland. And we've done this itinerary now, like legitimately for guests multiple times. And it's just, if you can end at the castle, it's kind of like, the quintessential, everybody wants to stay in a castle when they're in Ireland. So Dromoland is so special. It dates back to the 1500s, the O'Brien family, and it's really all about the welcome. It's all about the people. You have people that have been here for 40 years, like these two brothers on the left that have worked here at the door. Dennis down here, they met when they were like 14, 15 working at the property. They're still there. So, I think that says a lot about the staff and the property, that there's a lot of longevity, and your guests are really going to feel that. They have some new, I'm mainly going to talk about activities for Dromoland because I know a lot of you are very familiar with the property. This is our new Princess and Warrior package. So if you have a, multi-gen coming and the little girl has a birthday and she wants to be a princess for the day, it's like the ladies in waiting come and get her. They teach her how to, have tea. They do a dress fitting. It's like this whole extensive, beautiful little package if you have somebody that's interested in that. Our location, as I mentioned before, we're just 10 minutes from Shannon Airport. So really, really fantastic to end the trip. And then this is what's right outside our door. So you have Loop Head, you have the Aran Islands. We're about 45 minutes from the Cliffs of Moher. We have a new experience with Secret Ireland, where you can go up the River Shannon and you can stop at different homes, whether they're into modern art or they might be into music. So you could stop and play music with a musician at their home. You might learn how to bake brown bread or do some other cooking. So they're really just trying to curate some very unique experiences. Um, at the cliffs, it can be very crowded during season, and so we have, when it closes, a special experience that you can go with a historian under starlight, have champagne, and they can tell you all about this area and all the folklore. This is the Burren, which is kind of this ice age, again, landscape that has amazing flora and fauna very close. Doolin and Loop Head are little fishing villages that are really quaint that you can visit. The Aran Islands, if you saw the Banshees of Inisherin, the recent movie that was up for Oscars, it was all shot on the Aran Islands. And a lot of people here still only speak Gaelic. So if you really want that true, authentic Irish experience, that's a great way to go. And you can get there by boat or you can get there by plane. We have a whiskey distillery that's not open to the public, so our guests can go and help make their own whiskey. They produce the whiskey for Dromoland Castle. You can ship it back home. The Burn Perfumery, Sadie here, she trained in grass, and she uses all of that beautiful flora and fauna from the Burn to create just really organic, beautiful smells. And so they have a nice bakery and spot. It's a great spot for lunch. Go have lunch. You could take a perfume class if you have time and wanted to do that. Galway's only 45 minutes away. There's not a real luxury hotel in Galway, so we become kind of the luxury hotel and people just go for the day. You could do foraging there. Food has exploded, so they have a lot of food trails in Galway and wine that you could do. And then bringing it back, it really is all about the history at Dromoland, and you just feel when you're there like if these walls could talk. I love when you wake up in the morning and they still do wood burning fireplaces, and so you get that smell of the wood burning and you just feel like you're in a special place, that a lot of things have happened. They swear there's no ghosts. I'm not sure. I'm convinced. Lorna is our genealogist, so this has been great for families, especially during COVID. If they can talk, send in their information and talk to her beforehand via Zoom. And then once they come, she'll reveal all of the results. We had a recent family that found out they had a pretty seedy, shady past. So that was interesting and fun. But I highly suggest that. And it's only like $250, I think, for her to do the initial meeting and research for you. If you have a special occasion, we can do a Downton Abbey type staff lineup. We can do bagpipers. We can do the horse and hound welcome, which is really impressive. They did that on a recent fam I was on, and it's just a huge wow factor. So if you have special occasions, let us know, and we can go a little bit more over the top with the welcome. These are just some of the public spaces. They have been refreshed over this past winter and looking really, really great, but still keeping with the tradition of the castle. 97 rooms. They're a lot brighter than you would think of and fresher than for a castle. You would maybe think that it would be dark, but they're really bright. We have true double doubles. So if you have people that need, the two doubles or two queens, they're not just a split king. So that's very important here at Dromoland as well. But just to kind of give you an idea of the room spaces. A lot of those have also been redone over this past winter. We have the Earl of Thomond, which is our fine dining restaurant. No jacket and tie required. You can either get the full tasting menu or you can just get a bottle of wine with appetizers, but it's a special room, really approachable, even though it looks very formal, and you definitely want to have an experience there. And then we also have two other restaurant outlets as well on property. This is our bar. We have a singing barman. He's kind of famous, Frank, and I love it. You'll be like, Frank, could you sing us a tune? And he might say, oh, no, I couldn't. And then he just goes into, Fly Me to the Moon, and then he won't stop. But it's a fun night. There's always sing along and music. And the cocktails are exquisite. Every year they come up with almost art. It's a new cocktail book that people collect. And so this year they're based on like Celtic warriors, and it's a really beautiful book. this year. And then all of the country pursuits that you would imagine at the estate. You can do a horse and buggy around. They have beautiful gardens that were designed by the same Norch who did Versailles. And so many people spend a lot of time in the gardens. Huge sustainability efforts here to keep the castle, safe and protected for years to come. This is Dave. He runs the falconry program. I cannot stress enough how you need to do the hawk walk when you are at Dromoland. It is different than any other falconry experience I've ever done. He is so knowledgeable, and he essentially takes you on a walk through the woods while the hawks are going back and forth from the trees, and they might just come and land on your arm. It is really, really cool. So definitely sign your guests up for the hawk walk when they're at Dromoland. If you have anybody wanting to get engaged, we could even tie the ring to a hawk and they can fly in with the ring with a little sign, "Will you marry me?" We've had only yeses so far, so that's good. Horseback riding, clay shooting, archery as well. They do have a Parkland golf course. They're hosting the Ladies Irish Open this year. They hosted it last year. But again, if people are coming to the south of Ireland, they really want to play those links courses. So Dromoland is close to Lahinch, Doonbeg, again, Ballybunion. So we can help you set that up. I find that sometimes travel advisors, if you're not golf aware or if you don't feel comfortable with golf, you might turn away that business, but please don't if it includes Ireland. We can help you book all the golf, the tee times, and make it really easy for you. They just reopened the Castle Spa. I'm waiting on new pictures, but it is beautiful. Mari Chalk has sent me some pictures that she's taken. And they have Dr. Barbara Sturm now for facials. They have a local Seabody, which is a local Irish company as well. So great new spa and wellness. We have the indoor pool. And then last year they opened this beautiful boutique called Charlotte & Co. And Mari will tell you, she's like, there's not a sign of a leprechaun or a shamrock in here. It's a curation of beautiful Irish design and Irish artists, and it's done really well. And we've had a lot of advisors that maybe if you want to get a special gift for your clients, especially if this is their last, stop on the trip, that they could do that. Mark Nolan has been the managing director for 34 years. He has just announced his retirement. And then I know many of you know Mari. She wanted to be on the call today. But couldn't, but she says hello. And she always says, people ask, this is the last thing I'll tell you, what's the difference between Ashford Castle, Adair Manor, and Dromoland Castle? She gets asked that a lot when we're out on sales calls. And her story is, if you're the king or queen of England and you're in Buckingham Palace and it's opulent and over the top, that's Ashford Castle. You're still the king or queen of England. You want to go to the finest golf resort in the world, not a blade of grass out of place. Everything's yes or no, sir. That's Adair Manor. And if you're still the king or queen of England and you want to go to Balmoral for the weekend, Wellingtons are inside the door. Everybody knows your name. It's relaxed, it's casual, but still amazing service. That's Dromoland Castle. So Dromoland is kind of more the Balmoral. But tour castles, I think our location is also fantastic as well. I mentioned at the beginning, I don't know who's on that is Virtuoso, but if you have not received our invitation and you are going to Vegas, I just wanted to mention we do have 6 events. So shoot me a message if you haven't received an invitation. And then Calliope, we're really trying to build our social presence. So please, please, please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We'll follow you back, and we'd love to interact a little bit with you there as well. So I'm going to stop sharing. I don't see, let's see, can adults do that? What, Jill, I'm sorry, what were you saying with that? The princess, probably the princess experience.
Yeah. Where you learn how to have tea and I was just wondering if mom and daughters or grandma, multi-gen could do it together. It's just for kids or not. Yeah.
No, they can, they can customize it. So I tell Mari, I'm like, I think this is your ultimate package, that she created. They go to give the child the crown, and the key is lost. So then they have to go on a grand search for the key, and it's up in the mews with all the birds. It's an extensive, full day. And then you have dinner all together where the princess is, unveiled. So it's a really cool experience.
That's fun. I could see the whole family wanting to do it together. That's why I was asking.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we've had a lot of really special engagements recently at Dromoland, especially in the gardens and things. But all the properties are just getting wonderful reviews. They've all done wonderful job updating and refreshing, the rooms and the spaces over the last couple of years. So, well, thank you guys so much. Please, if you have any questions, let me know after. I'll send the recorded webinar out if you'd like to share with your colleagues. Today, we have a lot of these webinars coming up, and today just happened to be when some of the hoteliers couldn't hop on. So that's why they have me as an extension of their sales team. But look forward to seeing you all soon, hopefully in Ireland too. So thank you.
Thank you.